all my life. Been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice.
That are big, but is there a big adult scene in Nova Scotia?
There's the Halifax Open.
I've heard that's a banger.
Oh yeah, you have to win the tournament and then win the social. That's a whole nother. True. There's one in Moncton too, called the Moncton Open, and
so
that's
we have like
the same
co-ed
thing.
tournaments too. A lot of co-ed tournaments.
Yeah, there's lots of co-ed is the thing that kind of goes year round. That once a month you'd have an event. Like I know Fredericton has co-ed Fred, and then in Nova Scotia they have CVNS. As for senior ball, really you're going to be lucky to have. You've got two events that are really like well established, and everyone's going to make it out to those. But if you want to try and put on a third, you're going to have a really tough time because people just mark their calendars as okay. This is the time we got to get babysitters for the kids, and it's hard to get the East Coast people to commit to anything more. I don't know if that. I know Gander in Newfoundland, they have a big tournament there as well. I think it might even be the biggest. I don't know, but
I've
one of
heard
the biggest
about that.
ones.
I've heard that it's like Volley Fest or something like that they throw up there, and it's like
it's huge. I went one year. It is wild. Like and even that is something we could use, I think, here, but more of it. It's just hard to get the people out. We just don't have the bodies.
Yeah.
Is it bodies who? Because I feel like you guys have talked about, quite a few club teams and all this stuff, but is it people who just aren't interested in the sport and have kind of like drifted away since then, or is it just not enough teams, period?
I think drift away, personally.
Yeah. Like, because for me, I think when I played in the Halifax Open, I wouldn't have played volleyball for 3 years, right? And then I played against Jordan. Jordan told him to serve the ball at me the whole time because I haven't played in 3 years. Like, and I was passing dimes, I'll be honest.
And he played fantastic. So yeah, like guys, it's just if you're not from a certain circle, and I mean, I don't know if you guys agree with me on this or not. And I know I'm going to hurt some people's feelings here. I'm not going to say names, but if you're not from a certain circle, then you're not welcome to play with people. And I think people aren't inclusive enough, and people don't feel like they're able to come out and play in these events. Like Tier 1 men's, for example, like. We'll get 3 teams, 4 teams some years, sometimes 8, like if we're lucky. And then Tier 2 will have 20-some teams because, there's just like people don't feel like they don't feel included. If you're not, you didn't play for Dow, you didn't play for UMB, you're not welcome to be in Tier 1. And it's like, if people were a little more like there'll be like a men's night on a Monday night and you've got to be an exclusive, like you've got to be from this group or you're not welcome, you're not invited. And then they'll be hurt. They'll only have 10 guys. They'd rather play 5-on-5 than invite people that aren't from their circle. I think that's, and no offense to those guys who are not inviting people, but
thanks for inviting me. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, Tyler gets the invites, but no, and honestly, I'm one of those people
because you can ball.
Go, but it's for the ones that I have a lot of friends who would love to come out. There's people will see me in the gym and they'll be like, if you ever know of anything happening, let me know. And I'm like, gee, I do know, but I know if I invited them, people would be mad at me. You know what I mean? So it's a shame there. It's cliquey here. Cliquey.
Oh, there's still a big rivalry too. So that's part of the clickiness is the like Dow UMB rivalry that still goes on.
Okay, Robbie, just put a name on it, eh?
Yeah, you might as well, right?
We're hoping to do an episode on it. Actually, that's been in the works for a little while. So
one thing I've noticed, we talked about how all of Dow is a lot of like now it's the top Nova Scotia guys, and UNB is that like we've seen. I mean, Dow won how many? It was like 25 U.S. championships in a row, and then UNB has really, really come on nicely. And I found that UNB has done a really, really good job at investing in the New Brunswick system.
Yep.
And I really like now how like Dow. Like, do you think that Dow representing Nova Scotia and UNB representing New Brunswick will ultimately be better for those communities because they're not going out to bring the best from outside?
I think it helps guys realize, like Tyler said, his dream was to play for Dow, but when he sees one guy when you look at the roster and it says Ontario, Alberta, and you see that one Nova Scotia, you're like, okay, well, these 3 guys are better than me from here, so I'm not going there. Whereas now when you look and you see 9 Nova Scotia, 1 New Brunswick, 1 PEI, you're like, oh, I can do this. So I definitely think it's better for the development if there's more local players. It may not be better for your nationals result, unfortunately, but no offense.
That was one thing for me is when I saw, like, Canada Games was really the first time I got to see, like, Nova Scotia players and New Brunswick players, like, really, and I was quite surprised because both of those teams were very close to pulling off upsets at that tournament. So for me, looking at how, like, I know Dal did not have the best year, like, didn't win a game this year, but maybe it's kind of like a step back to take a step forward. Oh, I haven't been talking to.
We heard you good though.
Yeah, but maybe it's just like taking a step back to be able to take a step forward. You know,
he's super smart
in investing into these other, investing into their own community instead of trying to go get the best players from elsewhere.
Yeah, they had an unlucky year this year. I'll say, like, they have one of the best coaches in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah, Dan Oda is a G.
He's incredible.
Anyway.
I will definitely support that one. Dan Oda is one of the best.
Yeah, and he does a fantastic job every year. Matt Donovan's brother was on one of the younger national teams, and he hurt himself prior to the season. So that's
I haven't seen him yet, but I heard he's a stud.
Yeah, they're saying, like, I've heard. I know we already mentioned Donnie, but I've heard that he may even be better than what Donovan was. So
he's been out all year.
That center they have is pretty good too.
Yeah, I think another one. They had a guy leave the team, a local guy, Kobe Shannon, who he's starting to start pushing towards his career, I think, in his studies, and just decided he'd done enough volleyball, and he was a really great player for them. So. And they had another injury or two as well, so I think it was just unfortunate.
It's an unlucky year,
yeah. But they'll be back. I think honestly, when you say a step back, I think maybe that will make teams underestimate them going into next year or 2 years from now, and that could be a big part of why they have a lot of success, because people won't give them the respect they deserve, especially with a coach like Oda. Like, usually when they have a weaker season, even say they go under 500 one year or around that, they always come back the next year way better. So I expect that to happen again.
Is that something that's making that UNB Dow, like, especially along the alumni, like, that rivalry even stronger? UNB is really, like, they've come up strong in the past 6-7 years, and they're starting to get some shots in too.
Yeah, the rivalry was a joke, I think, to Dow guys back. Like, I remember when I played NTCC one year, and we were coached by 3 or 4 Dow guys. Not the one we went to, Tyler. It was another
the
one.
Year after.
Yeah, like 2 years later, and they took me on the team, even though it was actually the Canada Games core group for 2013. Like, my brother,
the year we missed out.
Yeah, but they allowed three of us, and Tyler, you would have been one of them too if you came. We were older guys that they took on the core team that one summer just to kind of have some leadership. And I used to get made fun of so much for going to, like, that, because that was my grade 12 year going into first year, and they're like, "Oh, you're a UMB guy, like, you guys are a joke." Like, there was no respect then, because they won 25 years in a row, but it was the following season that put an end to that streak. And I think now that it's actually a bit of a, now we have competition. It's not just Dow guaranteed every time. I think it's made the rivalry even bigger. And the women's team. Now the women's team is dominating over and over. Like, it's almost like they made a little trade-off. So, because they've won now 8 in a row, I want to say.
Yeah.
The women's team has been,
or is it 9?
Dominant.
8 or 9, yeah.
Because they were ranked first overall at one point this year.
But they're getting all the local kids. Like, if you look at their starting lineup.
They got Talia from our team, yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 kids that are on their starting lineup come from Nova Scotia. So, you can have that success by keeping it local. It's just making those local kids want to stay is the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, I think it's great. I would love to see even more schools out that way, kind of start pulling that in. But hey, it's kind of one thing at a time here. One thing I've noticed is that club, like, Scotia Juniors, still going on?
Yeah.
Because wasn't that kind of just like they took a lot of the Team Nova Scotia and then made a club team with it to compete at nationals? Is that kind of how all of that went down, or?
No, actually, it didn't. it's funny because you would assume that, but the woman who started that coach, she's a really good coach. Her name's Leanne Marriott. She's really.
Oh yeah, no, I know really Leanne.
Yeah. So she's always been really close with my brother, and I think she has. I think that's the vision that she had when starting that club, and I think and year after year it's getting bigger and better. But the Tigers have a club, and Dal's they're the dominant university team, so. It's always really hard to compete with getting the kids to try out for your team when you've got the Tigers Club, who Rick Scott will help with the women's teams, and then Dan Oda always helps, and then you've got Courtney Baker showing up to your practices. If Courtney comes to a practice a week, I want to play with Courtney Baker. You know what I mean? So for Leanne, it starting a new club in Nova Scotia, I think that's her end goal. And I mean, the things she does with those teams, she takes them to the States.
She also starts at such a young age with them too, right? Like, she's one of the only clubs that will have like a U12 team or something like that.
Yeah, like she'll get to that point, but it's just it takes a long time to start a club out here because it's there's not many people to choose from. So if you wanna try something new out, then you're gonna have to kind of be patient with it. But she's the right person for the job, and I think that's gonna get there. But the name Scotia Juniors definitely really, it would give you that idea for sure. I bet.
Yeah.
Well, because I feel like a few years ago at Nationals, their 18U squad had made a pretty good run at it. Like got into
Tigers.
That was the Tigers.
Oh, was it the Tigers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They came third.
Yeah.
And then was it DVC came? Was it like fifth with the boys U16 with Josh?
Side,
yeah. Angus Ruland had a team that. Do you know Angus Ruland, Everett, by chance?
I don't know. That's a name I don't know.
He played for Dallas. Yeah, he's started to put. He's our Canada Games boys coach for the next wave here if it ends up happening next summer. And he's really done big things and started his own club on the boys side. And he managed to bring his team to fifth at the when we met you up there in Edmonton, fifth, which is huge for a 16U team for out east. So but it takes someone like an Angus to really put that time in to get us to that point, right? So.
Fair enough. Is we've talked about Courtney Baker. Is there any of the younger kids that are coming up in the Nova Scotia or East Coast system that kind of to watch out for? Who's the one Colpitts? She's playing for Waterloo, and she's been pretty highly. Yeah.
Lauren Colpitts.
Yeah.
Her brother's
comes from
a G too.
Yeah, she comes from
her
a
brother's
family
awesome.
of studs. Like her sister played NCAA D1 soccer. Then Allison played for Waterloo. Lauren's playing at Queens, and then Brian played with me at UMB. So Sarah Glynn's another one. She's
Sorry.
from
It was Sarah Glynn that I know Colpitts played on it before, but Sarah Glynn's the younger girl, and she's something special. Like she's
rookie of the year, wasn't she?
She was, yeah.
Yeah. She's a big deal. She can play, and I think she won that award, and I doubt she wins that award if she stays out east. I got to be honest, but it would be nice if we had Courtney Baker stuck around. So, when we lose those 2 or 3 really good players from here, it makes it harder for our university teams to compete.
And Connor McConnell's stuck around too for UMB on the men's side.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't blame Sarah because I think Sarah,
this year.
Sarah's made her case where she's still doing incredibly well out in Ontario. And she was one of the top players, I think, in the OUA this year and was only in her second year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super nice girl. I actually spoke with her playing beats not long ago. And I think she did she made a good choice, but if we can keep those kids around, that's where you'll see, that was why Dow had, this going into this Nationals, this was probably the best chance they would have had. So.
But Brooks also too, for those kids that stick around, then you also get the discussion, they turned down this school or they turned down playing over here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
tough.
a 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. Because if you're turning down these big schools to stay at home, then people will always be like, well, they didn't necessarily have the career they could have had. And stuff like that.
That's why I do commend Sarah, because at least she she went and took that opportunity, and 100%. She may look back, and I guess you could always change your mind and come back if it's not for you too, right? So I mean, I
didn't Tara wasn't there
went to Louisville?
Yeah, and then she came back, didn't she?
No,
she was going to play.
She moved back, but with the eligibility, Everett, you probably know this, that if you start in the CIS and you switch to NCAA, which probably doesn't happen often, but you only get the 4 years. You won't get the 5 that you started with.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Or like, is once you play the NCAA, you can't come back and play that 5th year.
No, okay. So she just did her 4, but yeah, it's great to see the people from out east go out and play on some of those top teams. Like, I don't know if you would know who Maggie Lee is.
Maggie Lee from UBC. Yeah, she's from PEI, so, right?
Yeah, she is, and that's huge for PEI to have her go out there, and she won a national championship. So it's it's wicked when those kids do, but then when she played for Dow as well, that was when they were one of the top teams. They were really competing. So it's such an up in the air thing because we don't have a lot of Courtney Bakers. You know what I mean? There's only so many of them. So you want them to stay home, but you also want to see them do bigger and better things.
Is it a scenario like, I know, especially out west, you've got a lot of guys who play, and girls too, play like a couple of years of college, a couple of years of CCAA, and then they'll play, U Sports afterwards. Is that a reality? That's not so much on the East Coast.
No, I wish it was a reality, but some girls would rather go be a red shirt or the 14th on a Dallar or UMB than play in the ACAA or the CCAA.
Well, think about it. My Mount team, we won the last 8 titles except for this year, and not one of our players went to go play in the AUS. Right, So we won 8 titles in a row, and not one of our players went to play AUS volleyball.
You had an AUS girl come back to play, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, usually it's the opposite, Everett. Honestly, it's people will go. They want that. They think that it's better for them to go do that, and then it doesn't end up necessarily being for them, and then they change their mind and switch to CCAA. We don't really have that feeder system like you'd see with like Red Deer going to U of A or
like
stuff like that.
And Lemalu. Yeah,
it should be like a feeder system. It should be where your high level recruits come in, get the game experience, and then jump to U Sport.
Is that kind of what Henri and Dan McMorrin are trying to do with Stu and UNB? I mean, their gyms are like hop skipping away from each
next
other.
Door,
They're literally next door from each other. But are we seeing that transition between those two programs?
They're friends, and Henry actually was the coach. He was my assistant while I was at UNB under Dan McMorrin. So I think, and they scrimmage each other and stuff, like, maybe once every 2 weeks. I think Henry, when he tries to recruit guys, if he knows it's a guy that's definitely U Sport like capable, I think he'll say, you can come here. It's the same city. You can always move on after. So I think you'll see more of that slowly if they both stay in those 2 coaching positions. But yeah, it really just, it depends on if the coaches, kind of agree on that. You know what I mean? And are willing to give up their good athletes. A lot of like CCAA coaches, especially in Atlanta, Canada, they don't want you to go. You know what I mean?
I think King's men's team used to do that. Like Jeff Bowen went from King's to Dow, right? And there's been a couple players who switched over.
But King's dropped their team, right? They don't have a men's team anymore.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, that's not, I had a friend who played for King's as well too.
Oh, actually, my brother played there.
Yeah,
Jordan's brother played there too, and he was the only person to get Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same season.
Yeah,
Justin.
Yeah. He's definitely gonna have to tune into the episode now. He's gonna have to show this.
Yeah, he's been name dropped quite a bit. Fans at home.
Tyler's brother could fly. He was one of those big middles that every kid in the gym was like, "Holy smokes, Calvin!" Like,
just remember him showing up to a gym in like a suit and bouncing a ball wearing a suit. Just bounce it. A full suit, just bounce the ball. Yep.
Does anyone have a video of this? Because that would be...
I wish.
No.
I actually have a question for you, Everett. We've talked a lot over the last little bit, me especially, but what if you, just on your experiences of being over in the East Coast, and seeing our volleyball, I mean, you probably haven't seen too much on the club side because it's usually some pretty big events. Just from what you've heard from what we said, what do you think could be some changes maybe that you think might help things over here? Like, just from what you've heard.
It seems as though, like, I know that in Ontario, part of what started happening too is that the coaching in the club ranks was way, way, way better. You just started getting better coaches, but I think it's twofold. I think it's better coaching, but then also just more opportunities to play the game. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, about how few opportunities we actually have the chance to play. I mean, Tyler, you talked about playing soccer. I played soccer too. I played hockey, and I played house league hockey, and I played soccer competitively, but even then, like, we always had games, we always had tournaments, we were always getting a chance to play. Whereas in volleyball, it's like, I've definitely had guys on my club teams, both that I've played on and coached, who have just left because we're getting into a certain part of and there's only one tournament on Saturday, and we're seeing, and then you get the coaches who only play their same 6 players, and you've got this bench situation. I would love to see. Like, personally, I would love to see a 4-on-4 league spring up that kind of goes until like maybe 16U, or maybe it goes all the way through, but it's just more of a casual way to play. You're getting more touches, you're not waiting on the bench, you're not just practicing, like, just ways for people to play the game way, way, way more. Because I know that just so many times, like, I remember playing, like, my first year of club volleyball. I had 1 year of middle school volleyball underneath my belt, and we're getting, like, guys, we've been practicing for like 3 months here. I've played soccer games, I've played hockey games, I've done, all this stuff. But, like, when are we going to start playing games? And I think maybe in other sports we're seeing where there's too many games and enough practices. And maybe in volleyball there's too many practices and not enough games. I'm a big advocate of, like, let's find different gameplays. And that's why I'm a huge advocate of the 4-on-4 format, and even like I've, like, kind of pitched this. I was in Winnipeg over in Orsekas. I was talking to the people who run the 204 club, Jared Brown, and I was like, man, like, if you guys run like a 4-on-4 league, like, think about, like, you have 215U teams. Each team has 12 kids. That's 24 kids. That's 6 4-on-4 teams that you could make. Right? And why don't you just, like, tack on, like, another Sunday and be like, hey, we're gonna have a play day. Like, you have your group of 4 team, your group of 4. We give them at the beginning of the season, and Sundays, we're just gonna have 3 hours where it's just gonna be gameplay of just 4-on-4. A lot of that. We look at, we're the best country in the world for hockey, and it's not necessarily because of all of the programs we run and how many players we have, but it's because literally however many months of the year you can step out your front door and go play at a rink around your corner. And that's where those, like, Gretzky talks about it all the time. Like, that's where he got good. It wasn't in the games. It wasn't playing, in the OHL, the NHL. It was on the backyard rink. So how do we recreate that scenario for volleyball? How do we recreate?
And you think about Nova Scotia, and, like, we have so many hockey players coming out, like, close to where I live, Cole Harbour. Like, you have Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon. Like, there's so many hockey players, and they start playing hockey at such a young age, and they will play all the time. Whereas, like, in volleyball, you won't start playing until junior high, and then not really until you're in grade 10, like in high school. Yeah. Right? So, like, you're not getting those opportunities.
Yeah, and so, like, that's one thing for me is just, like, having been, like, a player and a coach, is just, like, we need to give more opportunities for kids to just play the game. And play the game where there's not necessarily a referee, there's no medals on the line, there's none of this other BS. It's just like, hey, let's just go and play the game. Because I know, especially in Ontario, just the way we have Ontario loves promoting their LTAD model, but everything that goes into how they plan their season goes against the LTAD model. It's like, it really benefits the people who win early in the year in the club, and not, like, kind of like later on. And that to me is an issue. So I've seen, we have fair play rules where, I've seen before we have fair play rules where, like, everyone has to, who was on the bench in the first set has to start the second set. And so you have coaches who show up with, like, 8 kids. And then the 2 kids who are on the bench play 15 points and they get subbed out. And it's just,
they're designed to win.
Yeah. So I personally think, and I've been preaching this for a while, is that we spend so much time focusing on high performance. And, like, let's look at it. Women's beach, we're the best team. We've got some of the best players in the world. 2 teams in the top 10. Men's indoor, we're up there. We're like a top 10 team for sure. Women's indoor, we're getting there. So maybe let's stop focusing on the high performance so much and start focusing on getting kids to just play the game. Right?
Well, it makes sense. The more kids that play, the more pool you're going to have, like, to pull from, right? So get as many kids playing as volleyball as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, you know, if we look at a guy like Adam Simak was a guy who'd never really played volleyball, played a little bit of high school. And then Brenda Willis saw him playing, and she's like, you know, you're a baseball player, but if ever baseball doesn't work out, like, come play volleyball. And he tried baseball for a little bit. It was like, nah, you know, I'm gonna go play volleyball. But if he hadn't been given so many opportunities from the national team, because physically he was a different specimen, you know, would he have been able to get up there? So it's like, how do we get guys like him to stay casually involved with the game? And like, hey, if you want to go play basketball or football or whatever those at a high performance level, that's fine. But let's find a way for you to play volleyball outside of the school system in a more casual fashion, let's say.
Yeah, and that'd be more gameplay. Like, that's where people and that's where people learn most, is making mistakes in a gameplay setting, or not just going through doing like basic drills where you're just passing and running through, where you're actually like, oh, well, this didn't work, now I'll try this next time.
You know, and like, I think for me, like, Marquise has a quote, and it's just like, perfect technique is always to be used in like the perfect scenarios. But how often in a game are you not able to get set up in those perfect scenarios, and you just have to react? And so it's, you know, let's give our kids way more chance to play. And you're telling me that you don't get like if you're just doing like a 4-on-4 tournament, and that's the thing about 4-on-4 too, is because you could just run a grass tournament, right? You could just rent a bunch of, you know, whatever systems, put them up, put the lines down, and then you could have like a 4-on-4 tournament. And I guarantee those kids are going to learn way more from a 4-on-4 tournament over like the course of a Sunday, where they're playing 5-6 games and they're touching the ball every single friggin' point, as opposed to going to a club tournament and you've got all of this like very structured rigmarole.
You know what? I fully agree. You might have just inspired me to try and put on a little 4-on-4 thing out east. So.
Hey, go behind the mines 4-on-4.
Hey, you guys want to do that? Let me know, and we'll see what we.
Everett, we actually have a couple questions for you as well.
Okay.
Volleyball Source is such a huge and influential platform for, you know, every volleyball nerd or everybody in the volleyball community. We just have a couple questions about that. Tyler's got one. And I also have one. How do you grow? Like how you're a huge platform. You're like the North Pole hoops, but for volleyball in Canada.
I mean, I definitely appreciate that. I mean, first of all, just to get, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, or people at home are aware, is that I didn't start Volleyball Source. Volleyball Source was started by Aaron Cadu back in 2010. So I was still playing club when I started. But I started
because it used to be a magazine, right?
Yeah. So from 2010 to 2014, it was an online magazine. It was published 4 times yearly. And it was paid for by Volleyball Canada. So it was part of the Volleyball Canada subscription. So you would get access to it by being a Volleyball Canada member and all of that stuff. But VC pulled their funding for that. Honestly, like I understand why they would. It was as we said, like a seasonally online magazine. And when it started in 2010, it looked like that's where the technology was going to go with the iPad and stuff like that. And it just didn't, you know? And then at that point, it was just kind of like, just keep on doing it. You know, Cam, if you remember my former partner, Cam Kerr, and I did it for, you know, a few years after Aaron left. And then I just kind of continued because, you know, it's what I like to do. And it's really just been about plugging away. And one thing I have noticed is that if I start trying to please other people, that's when it starts kind of like, when I start doing things to please people, that's when it starts kind of going awry. And that was both, you know, I had not pressures, but like people giving me suggestions both from like within the volleyball community and outside, be like, oh, you should do this and you should try and do this. So when I started, I guess it was like kind of like 2018-ish, I started really just not trying to rely on outside people, like kind of bring in with a technical background and just kind of do my own thing. And that's when I really started to see way more stuff. And I've also noticed that I focus a lot on like the quality of my content. I wanted it to really look nice, and I wanted to do like, you know, fancy editing and stuff like that. But I mean, you guys have seen it, that my most popular videos on YouTube is literally just like I film it from the back and I cut it, and people love that because it's never a way to see the game. And so I've looked at more and more as like, that's why I've started just going to as many university games as I possibly can, and just set up a camera at the back, right? Like, and that's like one thing if that you guys could do is, you know, you just go to, you know, obviously it's tough right now, but any type of game that you can, just put up a camera, film it. You know, there's bound to be a couple of highlights from there. There's bound to be some good things. And that's one thing about volleyball is that every other sport, the actual sport is so saturated, but it's so hard to find our sport to just watch. I mean, growing up, how many volleyball videos were there on YouTube? There's so few.
Dante hitting from the back row.
There was Dante hitting from the back row. There was Giba do Brasil doing, you know, like the You've got like the Lionel Marshall 50 you know. There's just like there's so few volleyball videos, and now I love the fact that there's way more, and I love the fact that, you know, I've been able to be a part of that, but I think it's just constantly making content, and the people who want to find value in it will find value in it. And it's just like a perpetual thing. Not one thing is ever going to put you over the edge. There's so many times where I've been like, this piece of content, like, it's going to kill it. It's going to do so well. And I'll be like, after this is kind of like, oh, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have hyped. You know, it's more.
We've been there.
Yeah, we've already had that experience.
Yeah. And so it's to be honest, like, the volleyball crowd is a fickle crowd. I think one of our biggest issues in volleyball is that we don't engage our first level adopters. Right. And if you're like an or whatever it is, like, there's those like 5 levels of adoption, and like there's like the early adopters, kind of early, and then there's like the guys in the middle, and everyone in volleyball, like, we have this assumption that volleyball people are going to like volleyball just because they play it. And so often that's never the case. And we need to engage our own community way more and bring value to our own community. So when we watch World League or Nations League and stuff like that on TV, and you've got the commentary be like, the libero is the player, wherein the opposite, no one's watching volleyball online, like finding a live stream for it that doesn't know about it. Saying, I think that in volleyball, we have this like thing where we just assume people within the volleyball community are going to know about something, or they're going to care about it. But volleyball's just been such an under-serviced community and for so long in the media, in the media realm, that we don't expect it, you know, when people aren't looking for it. So it's really important for things like for what you guys are doing, because you are like, it's the people who really care about it who are looking for it, right? And then those people are then they're going to tell their friends, and then they're going to tell their friends. And that's how it kind of grows. But that kind of, you know, ties into your last question there, Tyler, of like, how do you guys grow? In my opinion, well, first of all, I think you guys, is it you have like a logo, but it's not everywhere. Do you guys have a Facebook page?
Yeah, we just started one like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like the way that we did it was always just like, let's try to get on as many possible channels as we could. So like Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram. And then at that point, like, I mean, Volleyball Source on YouTube is now at like 40 close. Getting close up to 50. Yeah. And I mean, in 2018, we were at under 10. You know, so it's kind of one of those things that it's just the constant building, like brick by brick, that's going to allow you to slowly grow. I mean, I think that you guys are definitely going in the right direction, and it's just definitely like a step by step. But if there's a few areas that I can help, first of all is that, well, I haven't really promoted it yet, but there's actually a Volleyball Source subreddit. So an R Volleyball Source, where ideally I'm posting all of my stuff, but I'd really like for people like you guys to come in and, you know, every time you have a podcast, post to that community. I don't know if you guys are gamers, but I also have like a Volleyball Source Discord account. So we've got, actually on that one, there's kind of people from around the world. Like, we've got Italians, we've got Poles, we've got Americans, we've got Mexicans, everything. And in there we talk, there's a lot of Canadian volleyball talk, but there's also kind of international talk. So that might be kind of like 2 forums for you guys to use that I kind of really want to be pushing even more.
Okay.
Just to be able to push it out. And then, anytime you guys have something, let me know, and I can put it out on the Instagram feed, because ideally that what I'd like Volleyball Source to become is more of like a content manager, as well, where we have all of the different shows, from whether it's like a the country or around the world or whatever it may be. And every show that comes up, or everyone who's creating a piece of content, it doesn't need to be a podcast. It can be articles, it can be photos, it can be videos, it can be funny videos, serious videos, like whatever it is. Like, we live in this incredible technology world where everything is at our disposal. I really want to try to like push those people forward. So my advice is just continue pushing it, and like little by little, you'll like, I still get stoked when I see that, like, you know, people are following me on Instagram, and it doesn't that doesn't get old.
Bobby wakes me up. He's like, "Did you see Volleyball Canada's following us now? Oh, Volleyball Source followed us."
Yeah, and like, even like to get 1,000, because we were unsure about the IGTV at first, but then we got 1,000 views from Shanice's episode, and like, that's just a small. But see, we're at that platform where we're still putting music in where you can't, because we don't have the following. So we're making it enjoyable for those people who actually are following, until, you know, one day we can't. And Jordan will have to write a rap for us to make the new intro.
Yeah, Jordan, is that you? Are you a music maker?
You know, I'm not a music maker, no, but I've always just kind of rapped just with my friends, and been told I'm pretty good. So when
he's nice. Let's be honest, he's nice.
With the Black Lives Matter thing, you know, I always wanted to kind of say something about what was going on. I just did my first kind of time being brave and letting the world see me rap. I decided to make a little something with my thoughts on everything. So you'll have to check it out, Everett. But now
sure.
I kind of opened up a can of worms, because people are asking me to, you know, to do more of that stuff. But yeah, Behind the Minds theme song will definitely be something that I chip away at. I'm very like, I don't want to put. I'm one of those people. I don't want to put something out unless I think it's sweet. So it's
I know that feeling for sure.
Yeah.
I had to like get by that and just start putting stuff out that was just raw, and people like a lot too. Like, I think that's another thing, is just that, like, everything has value, and you just need to find a way. And sometimes it's literally like just a conversation, you know, like Robbie and Tyler, like, you guys live together. So even if it's sometimes, like, I know, Jordan, you might feel left out sometimes, where you guys just have a volleyball conversation.
Oh, they're welcome to do it.
And I talk to Jordan every day on the phone. So
and when Jordan was here, he was here every night when he was in Nova Scotia. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we don't spend much time away from each other.
Yeah,
this has been our way to keep that still going.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, like, for like you guys, especially because you guys are so deeply ingrained within the East Coast volleyball community, you know, giving someone a voice, you know, like for me, I've always wanted to have kind of different voices from across the country. And one thing for me is I've been super fortunate is I've done volleyball events literally like coast to coast. I think Saskatchewan and Saskatchewan and Newfoundland are the only two places I haven't been to volleyball events. And, you know, when I do that, I get to meet like the Leanne Marriotts. I get to meet, you know, the people, like the doers in those areas. And I've been able to see really how the different areas of volleyball are across the country, how similar they are at the same time. And I think it's really important that there is a voice for Nova Scotia volleyball now, or not only Nova Scotia but East Coast volleyball, and to foster that, and just to give more people a chance to see the game and experience the game and tell stories about the game. And I think that's kind of one of the most important part, is like telling those stories, you know. We all grew up on 30 for 30s and, you know, these sports, you know, like
the sports documentaries are like even finding out about athletes that you don't normally see. You normally see them in games, but to hear about their mindsets or other things, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Hear
about legends and everything.
Yeah, 100%. You know, even for me, like you guys interviewed Shanice Marcel. I've known Shanice for a long time, but there's some of the stuff that she talked about in her interview that I had no idea about, right? So I think it's just, honestly, the most important thing is keeping at it. And that's definitely something that I've been bad at times, just because like life gets in the way. You've got other things going on, and, you know, you kind of get like beaten down by it, like, you know, I posted this one thing and nothing ever happened. But then I think for me, when I really started realizing why I was doing it, and I started doing it because I was doing it for like my friends, and I was doing it for like myself, and I really wanted to tell those stories, and I got back to that. started, really coming together. But it's definitely a slog because Volleyball Source is now like a decade old, so it's taken that long. Hopefully for you guys, it doesn't take nearly that amount of time. But yeah, it's just try new things, try some ideas. Some will work, some will won't. I think that you guys have a different voice, especially.
I think we're lucky because we have 2 black guys and some white chocolate in Robbie, so it's a whole different perspective.
He's got the Jason Williams back there. He's got Tupac looking over his shoulder. Yeah, Robbie's definitely a white chocolate type of guy. I like it though. I like it.
And he likes his chocolate too.
Yeah, he does. Black girls and me and Todd combined.
It is what it is. Everybody's got their taste. I got a little mine.
You know what? I'm all for it. I think for me, I was very, very fortunate going to high school because I went to a French high school in Ottawa. So going to elementary school was one thing, but then going to high school was a very different thing. And I show up here, I'm like, oh, like you've got like a third white people, a third Arab, and a third black people. And I played on basketball teams where I was the only white guy, and like we had one of my favorite guys ever from high school was this big Cuban black dude who had on our volleyball team who would hit a standing spin serve harder than anyone could hit a jump serve. Like, was going against like the best team. I remember our first game in the league, he was getting aces, and that was against the best team that won OFSA undefeated. It was actually all of the Mavericks guys from that year, and like they were ridiculous. So I've been very, very fortunate to be able to, see the effect that like different cultures have and people of different backgrounds have. And I love the fact that there's, some people of color within volleyball and talking about it.
And there's just like this weird bond with us. Because I remember when Jordan and I played together at NTCCs, and we were playing against, like, Team Ontario was there and Tyrell Bronwell was there. And instantly there was this weird bond. Like, we were at the social, and Jordan was playing Guitar Hero, and Tyrell walked up to us to talk to us to be like, can I play? And we're like, why do you have to ask us? Like, you're probably one of the best players in the tournament. And we're these 2 young guys who shouldn't even be in the tournament, and he came and talked to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just you're drawn towards each other for sure. Like, even Olivier Giannini, you would know him, Everett, I'm sure. Like,
Giannini,
him and I,
man.
Yeah, him and I became close. Just kind of like you say, Sackville-Sonics. We were going 0-3, 0-3, 0-1, and then we were packing her up, and heading her home from nationals up until the end. But Giannini and I, we became close.
No,
no, I could still see him there. But yeah, like Giannini and I, like we talked even when he was at Laval and I was at UMB. Like we would visit with each other for a good hour. Before matches, and he helped me with my French homework a lot. My second year at UMB. So, and it's funny because it was literally just until my teacher was like, "There's no way this is a French person. This is not you," because Quebec was different. I learned my lesson with that one, but and it was really just the fact that it was someone else that looked like me, and vice versa, that kind of brought because we were coming from the same situation.
Well,
that's why we played beach together.
Team Black.
Black. I love it. I definitely will. Like, there was a couple tournaments last year where like Tariq and Danon would play together, and that was just like fire. But I remember like me and Giannini became good friends at those national championships. Something about that Olivier Giannini. He's just so personable. He's just he's just a good looking, confident dude. He was like one of the best players in the country back then. Like we remember Giannini from club, and he was just like he would hit balls and everyone in the gym would know that. But there's I feel like there's kind of like 2 years there. There's the 2008 national championships where that Pac-Man team won, and that Pac-Man team was a very black team. You had Terrell Bramwell. You had
because that was the year we would have played against them at
Jordan Langley was on that team.
Jordan Langley, Jesse Sadie was heading, like Indian guy, and then the next year in 2009 was 17U. That Samurai team won it. And they beat Grand Prairie in the final, and that Samurai team was like Oliver Giannini and Alison Francion, and it was another team that was there was very few I think Kevin Kruom was like the only white guy on the team. It was all Arabs and black guys and Asians. And there's those 2 years that really started to change things a little bit, and you started to see these different color people playing volleyball. And I think we need more of those people coming out and telling their stories.
I agree.
So Tyler and Jordan, get on it, and
this is
It's a work in progress.
It's
a work in progress.
I
for sure.
I also think too that like just in general in our society, like ostracized communities are the ones that create a lot of the culture. Like if we look at our society in general, it's like the gay community and the LGBTQ community and the black communities that are very, systematically oppressed, but they're the ones who create so much culture. If you look at like music these days, it's all electronic music, which came from raves, which is highly populated by gay people, or hip hop, which is straight up from black people. And I think we just need more and more of that, especially in volleyball, because I find we lack our own culture. Basketball is so easy to make that connection between hip hop and basketball and create it that way, but in volleyball we're really missing our own culture. And I think maybe that's what now is we can do now, is we can start establishing a culture within volleyball that's very inclusive. And I think that's something that, younger people like us, not even guys, girls, non-binary, whatever it may be, can kind of like take that on and be like, hey, let's go play this sport because I know that I'm going to be accepted there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like, if anyone has stories, feel free to come on our platform and share them.
Well, that's the thing, is that like I said last year in March, I was in Nova Scotia for a little bit, and I went to a party, and think Mark White or Matt Sweet was there. I can't remember which one exactly.
Matt Sweet.
Yeah,
probably Matt Sweet.
If it was Halifax and a party, it was Matt Sweet.
Okay,
it would have been that.
It was just like we're just sitting around like telling stories, and that to me is like that's the best stuff. Like that's the podcast that you listen to. Like recently, I was just listening to. Do you guys know the Passing Dimes podcast with Josh Nickel?
Yeah.
So Josh did one with Robbie Abrams, and Robbie Abrams is like not a well-known player, but just his stories of how he started volleyball and like little stories like that is what people live for. It's the same thing of like people want to hear about the little stuff between like Jordan and Pippen during like their runs, and if you guys are able to kind of, I think like you guys will be able to have that East Coast voice way better than someone like I can. So it's way better for you guys to talk to those guys, East Coast people, and bring that East Coast perspective. And it doesn't necessarily need to stay within the East Coast. It can grow. But if you guys have like an East Coast focus, then I think that would, benefit you guys well, but then also benefit everyone else well, because they're going to have people will see that voice and hear those stories.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think someone needs to get Oda on. Wanted to do is have like a Volleyball Source after dark, where it's like maybe you have to pay to get in because like the subject matter is a little bit let's say like rated R. We would maybe have a few drinks with some people and just kind of let some of the stories flow a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Ben Joe would be a great guest. I'd like to see like that guy's mind. He's one of the most intelligent coaches in North America.
Still,
stop fanboying. Stop fanboying, Robbie.
Buddy, Banjo's the man. If Banjo tries something, I'll try it.
And here he goes. It's
the truth. It's the truth, though.
Honestly, though, Banjo is so like I remember at 13U. The first time I ever met Banjo was 2013 Canada Games, because he was coaching TBC and before the tournament and kind of just going there, and I was like the sport information director, so I was just there to like deal with the media, and he like came up to me and introduced, and he's like, I love what you guys do. So I guarantee it that if you guys reached out to Ben Joe and be like, hey, here's what we do, he would be more than happy to come on and field any question you have for him, Robbie.
I wouldn't be surprised if Robbie already has an email written and ready for him.
He's smart, man. Everett, did you notice that, like the Can-Am Games, how he moved his lid to 6 back rather than 5?
Well, so actually, he wasn't Or wait.
He wasn't there.
No, yeah.
He wasn't.
He was tuning in for it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, they moved their lib, and then January comes back and is like, "All right, girls, we're moving our lib to 6-pack." Like, if he tries something, I'll try it for 2 weeks for sure.
I like that down. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I've played in a few teams that have kind of like I played in a team once where it was weird, but we had our libero coming in from 1 and we had our setter come in from 5. We tried it for a little bit, it didn't work. I think we need a few more lefties, but yeah, I mean Benjo is one of the greats. And that's another thing is that I think in volleyball there's just so few platforms to go and like talk to people. So if you message someone and you're like, "Hey, we want to chat to you," there's very few people who are going to say no. You know, so
sure.
I think you guys have a great opportunity there to kind of bring the East Coast perspective to the rest of Canada, but then also bring other perspectives to the East Coast, right? Because most of your following, I'm sure at this point, is still within the East Coast, yeah?
You know, 100%.
Friends and friends. And I
Shanice helped things.
Absolutely, but I don't think that
she helped us a lot.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with just having like an East Coast volleyball following and just being like the names of East Coast volleyball, especially if you're able to get out there and talk to some of those bigger names. Like once again, like any guy on the national team will probably want to chat with you. If you guys need any like introductions, let me know. But there hasn't been one volleyball player in the Canadian system or just in general that I've met that I've been like, oh, that guy, like, or person, sorry, I shouldn't just say guy, like guy, girl, whatever. Every single one of them has always been super gracious to me, and I'm sure that they'd be all the same to anyone else kind of trying it out.
Thanks for the advice.
Because how long have you guys been going at it now? Like it hasn't been that long, right? It's only been a few months.
2 months?
Oh yeah.
2 months, yeah.
So you're off to a great start. Trust me, you guys are growing much faster than we did at first.
It's good to know. There you go, guys. Not so bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
And see, like every episode we learn something new. Like we'll have one little thing that's like wrong every episode, but
like my face real close to the camera like this.
Or my headphones falling in and out.
And then, like, the only editing I've ever done was watching my ex-girlfriend edit her pictures and catfish people, so.
It worked on you, didn't it?
Oh.
That
was the one white girl Robbie ever dated, right?
Hasn't happened. But yeah, so, like, we're still new to this, so, like, every episode, like, we edit on iMovie. Like, and we just cut clips and keep trying and, you know, failing and doing better sometimes.
Oh, trust me, I've had years and years of that. Because, like, when I first came on to Volleyball Source, I knew nothing about cameras. I knew a little about cameras, like taking photos, but I didn't know anything about, like, podcasting. I knew nothing about technology. I was not that guy. That was all cam. You know, this guy is like gets nominated for Emmys now with his VFX work, so he's always been very much aligned in that world. So I was just like the volleyball guy. I was like a writer, and it's just kind of like a slowly like learn like day by day learning, and then eventually you just know how to troubleshoot things and you're good to go. But I mean, you guys seem to be on it fine just now. I don't even know if you guys need my advice. It's just kind of like plug away at it.
Well, we appreciate it either way. We definitely inspired by you. When I saw that message from Volleyball Source, it was like, holy! I was telling everybody.
I didn't even know I was on the golf course.
Yeah, he turned his phone off because Man U was playing that day. So
it's Man United, not Man U. It's Man United.
Sorry for offending you. But yeah, I texted Jordan. I was like, "Man, Volleyball Source." He's like, "Man, I know." Like.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
I don't know.
Same with Shanice.
I think you guys are giving me. You guys can give all the credit to Shanice for sure. I think you guys are giving me a little more credit than I deserve here because I feel I don't know.
Yeah, we knew Shanice was getting her on there. I mean, we were starstruck for sure getting her to come on. And once we had her on there, it was like, holy, why were we even? You know, she's such a down to earth person. It was like this is just like talking to a friend we've known forever.
She's literally our cousin now. We're calling her fan.
Yeah, honestly.
Well, you two can do that. I don't know if I can do the same.
The mom side.
Yeah.
But know, so I mean, we knew that was definitely going to give us a bit of a boost, and we're super thankful. And honestly, like, the thing was, not only did she come on and talk to us, she posted about it so much and spread the word, and you know,
I feel like she's our biggest fan.
Yeah, and honestly, when it's the complete opposite. So, you know, it's like, it's nice to get, and I guess you're right when you say that that's just the volleyball community. You know, it's a bunch of good people who are willing to help each other out. So we're super thankful for you kind of doing the exact same thing for us. It's definitely much more of a favor for us than vice versa. But I'm sure, you know, now that we've talked to you, it's like, you know, this is you fit in just fine.
It's the same conversation.
Well, you know, like, I want to try to create something that's like very open and has like a lot of people contributing, and you know, being able to like you know, just talk to you guys and engage you guys this way is just leads to be able to provide more opportunities. You know, I'm kind of pissed off that I'm more than kind of, but it really sucks that there's not a season coming up, because it would be really awesome to have, you know, some guys in the East Coast who are able to cover that level of ball. But I mean, hey, that's still going to come. So just be patient. But yeah, I'd say just keep plugging away, because like, realistically, like, what I do is not that much different from what you guys do. I've just been doing it a little bit longer, and I've had some opportunities that afforded to me that have allowed me to do some things. But I mean, there's such a big space there for a voice, not only a voice within the East Coast, but then just more voices within Canadian volleyball. Because there was definitely a time when I was like younger where like other people would start podcasts, and I would like feel like, well, no, like I do that, like that's my role. But now it's
Robbie.
Now it's way different. Now it's way different where I want to try to encourage way more people to come in and join the conversation and have conversations of their own. Because like for me, like I first shared Shanice's article about being black in volleyball on Volleyball Source. And I did want to have like a chat with her about it, but then you guys did it, and it was just way more powerful to have two black guys talking to Shanice and Robbie, who's, you know, almost a
white chocolate.
Yeah, white chocolate. You know, having that conversation and having those shared experiences than me talking to it. So that's why it was just like, well, like, cool. Now I don't need to interview Shanice about this, because there's already someone who's doing a much better job. Right, and that's right. Like, I think that's
appreciate that.
I mean,
I do have a tea time, fellas. I hate to do this, but I have a tea time I have to make, so I have to jump out. I don't know if you guys want.
One more thing I have to say just about the like things that we're talking about today. I was like, Ty, what are the best all-time TV crossover episodes? Like, you have Alf and Gilligan's Island. You have like The Simpsons and
Family
Jack
Guy.
Bauer.
Oh,
Simpsons and Family Guy.
Batman and the Hornet.
Yeah. So that's why, like, man, this could be a great crossover episode for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, like, let me know whenever you guys. As I said, I'll shoot you guys some of the stuff for like the Discord account and stuff like that. But yeah, just keep on going with it, because there's stories that need to be told, and you guys are doing a great job with that. So, you know, I just keep trying plugging away with it. I mean, you guys are only 2 months in, and you've already got a pretty big following. You've already got some good episodes underneath your belt. So I think you guys are doing fine. Just keep plugging away at it, and it'll come.
Well, we appreciate that. And for anyone who's listening that hasn't heard, you know, he did already mention, but we've actually did a whole episode on being black in volleyball prior to talking to Shanice. So then we talked to her, and we talked to Courtney Baker. So, you know, if that's something that people are interested in hearing, then that earlier episode, which is kind of when we were first starting, you know, it really was where we dive deep into kind of our experiences and all that stuff. So that'd be something that people, I'm sure, would really like to check out too, which, you know, it was kind of back when no one had heard of us at that point, but that was the one we really put the emphasis on. So definitely check that out if you get an opportunity. Yeah,
I definitely do. That was what prompted me to message you guys, as I was doing some cleaning up around my apartment and put that one on, and it went straight into the Shanice one afterwards, and it was just kind of like, okay, I just need to message you guys right now, just so we can get that conversation going, and I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Well, thanks a lot, man, for having us.
Appreciate
Thanks for having us.
Everett.
No problem. Thanks for doing all the good work you guys been doing, and keep it up. So any way I can help in the future, let me know. And once I get the
We'll
website,
definitely be messaging you.
yeah, absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
anytime. So the website's down for a little bit of maintenance right now, but once the website's back up and running, we'll get you guys set up on there too. So
Cool.
Awesome.
Good.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
thank you very much, boys. If anyone wants
Appreciate
to
it.
check them
Thank
out,
you.
it's Behind the Minds podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
Behind
sir.
the Mind podcast, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Not
no
there
Twitter
yet.
Not yet.
Fair enough.
Tyler's working on it this week. He's our Twitter guy.
Perfect. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Behind the Minds
YouTube.
podcast. Great guys out from the East Coast. Make sure you check them out. And yeah, boys, thank you very much. I'm sure we're gonna have a few more of these in the future.
Oh,
Love
for
it.
sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, boys.
Sorry.
Jordan, good luck in your golf
Yeah.
game. And
Don't suck.
I need it.
all right, thanks,
All
a lot,
right.
boys. Have
Thank
a good
you.
one.
All right,
See ya.
bye.